Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to your June 2025 forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's good to see you. This reading can be used for Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. Before we begin, there's Apollo. I know you guys like to see him. He's relaxing, so we're going to let him be. Let's get straight into your channeled messages. As I was meditating on your sign, I saw a traffic light, and then I heard, be direct, no mixed signals. If you need to say no to someone or RSVP no to something, be direct. If there's something that you want, speak up. If you have a question and you're uncertain, ask. It doesn't have to be something where you're coming across in a critical way. It can just be in the form of a question, especially if it is something where it's like, yeah, I'm confused, or could you clarify? All of these are examples of direct communication. And I know that for some people, it's easier than others. So I think this is especially if you're very interested or very disinterested. You don't want to kind of give the opposite impression or skirt around something when someone really wants to hear or know what's going on. It's interesting. Just like the alarm in the background, that's a moment where you should sound the alarms. And just like that's a very clear signal that, hey, pay attention to something. We want to give similarly clear signals in our own lives. So yeah, that's basically it. We'll take a look at the cards now and see if there's any areas where maybe there's a little bit of blurred lines, where maybe I can see why you might be hesitating. But here's one cool thing. When you're clear to yourself, to others, and to the universe, synchronicities can start to open up. And then that's when things start to get exciting because you step into the High Priestess mode. All right, let me go ahead, get everything organized here on the table. It's so good to see everyone, by the way. I hope that you're doing well. Let's go ahead now and meditate and get started. So imagine, if you will, that there is a circle of light around your body and that within that light you are protected. Invite in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters, and let's start to see what the cards have to show us. All right. All right, let's get started with your catalyst card here. We have the goddess coming through, very close to the Empress energy in the major arcana. And this is also like birthing, creating, nurturing, and stepping into boss power. This is a time to really take the reins, take the lead, and this is where the direct energy and communication is coming forth. When we look at Emperor or Empress, they are not afraid to articulate, they're not afraid to push back, and this is going to also help establish you as the leader or the goddess that you are. Let's look at the overall Celtic Cross and see how it all comes together. So, Queen of Wands, she's actually, for me, one of the ultimate boss symbols, so nicely connected here with the catalyst. Let's look at some of the other things. First of all, I like to just note that there aren't any significant challenges here. We don't have the Tower, we don't have the Devil, we don't have the Ten of Swords. If I were to pick a challenge, it's up here. Seven of Cups. It's like a cloudy energy in the crown chakra. So that's why it's very important to get clear, to find what you want and what you need and be able to articulate it. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's actually start off with the Page of Swords in the reverse position in the center. So it's the little voice of reason in your head. In the reverse position, just like the High Priestess, sometimes we don't listen to our own common sense. That's really what I'm getting from this. And if there is something, a little voice that says, do this or don't do this, that's your intuition. Listen to that. I really want you to lean into the inner knowledge. Okay, pages are inquisitive. A reversed Page of Swords is not afraid to basically look at something and say, pause, this doesn't make sense. So they could circle something, send it back, ask for clarification. In real-time communication, someone might just say, wait a second, did you mean this or did you mean this? So it's important to communicate as questions occur, within reason, to edit and revise before going too far along the path, so solicit feedback when necessary, and listen. A reversed page is doing more listening than they are talking. Listen to your own thoughts and intuition, listen to what others are saying, read, reread, and then revise. This is going to be a key to success, and there are people that may try to push you to rush something out before it's properly, again, edited or finessed. This is where the goddess energy comes through, and you're going to put your foot down when and if necessary. Okay, crossing this, we have balance. Just in case you're wondering, Nicholas, balance is not a card in the major arcana. You're right, it's being renamed. So the original Rider-Waite-Smith card is temperance. Temperance encourages us to test the water before diving into a situation, to balance out our emotions, and that was the center focus on the card that I just showed. Then and only then proceed to the path that follows. Slow, steady, really measured and calculated in the best possible way. This will help you not get embroiled in a tug of war or a power struggle. And again, this is really finding a balance between what you want and what others expect. Finding balance in all aspects of your life, since they chose to focus on that, is also really important. And I think figuring out what your personal biases might be, emotional lenses that might get in the way of clear judgment. One of the reasons I mention this is in the crowning position. I'm going to pull the traditional card here to the side. We have the Seven of Cups, and I mentioned this can sometimes show clouded vision or uncertainty, and you can especially see that in the traditional illustration. So this is reversed, and you are trying to look past emotions and get past those sort of lenses. All right, let's look at the deep past. So the Ace of Pentacles is here, and it's showing a clearly defined thought or idea that only basically needs the follow through. Like, what's the next step? What are you going to do to resuscitate or breathe some life into it? Because it feels like it might have just been sitting there with no action. That's the intuitive vibe that I'm getting with that. So it's important to bring this forward. This is a foundational thing for the month ahead. And again, maybe some of you are just still testing the water. I think that there will come a point this month where it's important to say if you're in or if you're out, back to the direct messages, back to clear signals, because people may be waiting for you to be certain and to be clear, and only you can do that for yourself. One thing that I'm going to say before we even go forward is there's never going to be 100% perfect time. There's always a little bit of unknown. There's always a small degree of risk. And that's what kind of makes life interesting. And this is where you're going to lean into your intuition. So at some point, it is important to step forward. And I'll try to help you figure out when in the month it is. But I feel like it's closer than you think. Here's the other thing that might be holding you back. Fear or uncertainty. So we have the Nine of Swords. Typically, this shows a bunch of swords in the air above someone while they're trying to go to sleep. What I like about this illustration is she's picking up the pieces and she's saying, I've learned my lessons. I've been through worse things before. I'm dedicated, as we see here with the caption, to getting to the finish line. And I think I can hop over the Ten of Swords just by taking care of myself. And that's absolutely right. Pick up the pieces, gather your emotions. That's why temperance was at the center. Clear it out, process it, and then move forward. In the crowning position, we have, as I said earlier, the Seven of Cups. In this one, very rarely would it ever be related to mourning. I would put that more with like the Five of Cups. But with this, your thoughts may be fixed on what could have been or what should be. And this is asking you to explore other things. So I'll honor this interpretation, but I'm going to match it with this. And one thing that's always important with the Seven of Cups, as traditionally illustrated, is not to go too far down a rabbit hole of possibilities. It's good to limit yourself to 2 or 3 perspectives, to 2 or 3 hours, to put a little bit of, like a plan together or some guidelines. This is going to help you from getting confused. Now, if someone's communicated with you and you're not clear on their vision, like I said with the page reversed, ask them in real time. You may need to step back from this too. The next card is Eight of Cups. You take a step back, you get a view of the situation, then you come back. So if you are confused, take a break. There is a point of diminishing returns in anything that you might be doing. You've hit the wall. It's time to relax. You'll come back clearer, cleaner, and more focused tomorrow, okay? In the near future here, we have the Queen of Wands, a beautiful complement to the already existing Goddess card. This is exactly what it would appear as in the minor arcana. So Queen of Wands, as illustrated here, has the ability to listen to her intuition, as we talked about, listen to others, and take that and level it up. What's happening here, though, is she might be overthinking. This card can represent stubbornness when reversed. It can represent closed-mindedness or narrow-minded thinking or overthinking. So let it flow naturally. Going back to the traditional Temperance card. You are a conduit for creativity, for intuition. Let it flow, trust in yourself, and then stand up for what matters the most. And that's pretty much all the takeaways here. This is a perfect card if you want to step into any sort of leadership situation. It's particularly business oriented. The common theme this month is to listen. Listen to yourself, listen to what's going on around you, then use your own instincts to move forward, okay? Let's see how you're showing up. The moon. What I like about this, we do have a second common theme, which is stubbornness. So we have a little bit of a Tauran symbol here in the background, the bull next to the moon. Once you've clarified what it is that you want, where it is that you stand, how you want to make it happen, then you can dig your hooves in or dig your feet in. And then it's going to start to progress nicely. Now, if we look at the traditional moon card, I'm going to be intermittently kind of going between all of these cards here, but there's a path in between the wolf and the dog. It's important not to get lost in competition. It's important not to get lost in your emotions and not to let other people distract you from the path at hand. That's where I do like this illustration. That bull in the background is just saying, I know what I want, I'm ready for this, and nothing is going to distract me. Themes of honesty are also connected with the moon card, so make sure that you're being honest with yourself, you're being honest with others. Again, going back to the direct energy and avoiding mixed signals. Okay, in the environment, we have a pushy person here, and they may be demanding respect of you. You may have to have some boundaries to encourage them to respect your authority as well. They're very clear at where, like, how to get under your skin. So, and they're relentless a little bit. Here's the thing. Like attracts like. So you have the same stubbornness, and you actually are coming through also with the Queen of Wands energy. So you can level that up one more time and say, no, this is what I want. So stand your ground when necessary. Take special care this month. I pulled this one so you could see the bandage around his head. There may be some challenges when it comes to like mental fatigue and exhaustion. You want to stay sharp. That's what the bow and arrow represents here. So make sure that you don't lose the mental acuity. And part of that is knowing when enough is enough and not overworking yourself, okay? We have 6 of Pentacles here in the Hope Spheres and Opportunity space, and we can see the outstretched hands here. So this actually puts you in the position of power. You're the one holding the resources, the hands are outstretched, and you get to be discerning and decide when, where, and how often. We see exploitation as a piece of this. So the boundaries this month are key. You have to say no, actually, because there may be situations where someone will take as much as you're willing to give. Here's your traditional illustration just to compare it. So you're the person there making the choices. You're looking at this from a first-person perspective, and we're looking at those people reaching out. So you're in high demand. People may try to get more from you than they should. That is why the Queen of Wands came through. That is why the Goddess came through. That's why the Clarity card came through. Be clear, be strong, be direct, and say no when you need to, and ask for something if you need to as well. You can also ask, even though I'm looking at this kind of like first person, you could flip and you could be in the place where you're like, in order to make this happen, I need a little bit more. That's why we're ending on the Emperor. So we actually have a balance this month. We have the Divine Feminine and the Goddess, and then we have the Green Man, which is the Emperor. So God and Goddess energy coming together, yin and yang, balance at the center, also represented. So this is showing me that you end the month with some confidence, with the ability to make this work. And I like that the green man actually indicates growth, and he's kind of mixing his special brew, like the Chaka Khan song, put fire inside of you. So once you know what you want, once you've got it all organized, I feel like things are going to start to come together. But leadership is important. And to be a leader, you have to be clear, confident, and concise. Hopefully I've helped you get to that point. We're going to expand this much deeper now so that we can go into health, wealth, love, and destiny and help you strategize to be the best that you possibly can. Let's go ahead and pull all of those cards and we'll go deeper. All right. See what's coming through for health. And then wealth. Love. Two, okay. And destiny. Interesting. All right, let's begin first with the energy for health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. Don't worry, literally, because the card is reversed. It says, I'm learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. Gosh, that's a lesson that I think all of us could really, really benefit from. I mentioned that this Nine of Swords is normally connected to worry. Let me find the traditional one while we're talking here, and we'll discuss that a little bit. But with the Nine of Swords, the good news is usually things are not as bad as they seem. They just feel intense. So here's your traditional Nine of Swords. And there's someone putting their head in their hands, kind of being a little dramatic, kind of being a little extra. We all have to do that from time to time. But this isn't serving the highest good. This isn't helping. That's why she's trying to gather her thoughts. That's why we have balance at the center. That's why it's important to kind of like let all of the mental baggage unload. All right, let's look at this card by card, step by step. So sleep quality and sleep quantity are important. That's why I pulled this up. Stress could be leaking into your potential to rest. There could be some other things going on too. So if there's any insomnia, you should speak with your general physician. But from what I'm seeing here, it's worry or stress. And these then create kind of like a loop. The more you're stressed, the less you sleep, the less you sleep, the less capable you are of dealing with stress, and it just amplifies, okay? That's why I think it's important to take a step back. Concentration might be lacking here, and this could be also because of overwork and overthinking. This card can represent some challenges with respect to things like reproductive organs. So if you're trying to get pregnant this month, the stress could be difficult in that area. There could also be issues with bladder or just general water in the body. So making sure that you're hydrated enough. And if there is anything going on with either reproductive organs or your urinary tract, obviously you're going to work with a professional. It's just what the card symbolizes, but I'm picking up on that. Headaches can also happen with the Nine of Wands. Again, because of the intensity of the stress and the focus. I want you to be focused, but not to the point that you're causing yourself, distress or pain. So you have two balance cards. There's typically scales in the Six of Pentacles, and there is, again, that sort of balancing energy in the Temperance card. So slow down, say no to what you need to, take care of yourself, and in doing so, you're going to be happier, healthier, and you're going to land on solid ground by the end of the month. If you don't understand what someone's saying, particularly when it comes to your general medical health, the Seven of Cups is saying ask. Definitely ask and get a second opinion. Okay? All right, let's move onward from health to wealth. This is resources, life purpose, and career. It says, release the dark wound, let love live. Okay, that's a tongue twister. So rather than call it a dark wound, let's just say let the fear or the pain from the past go. There could have been a setback because we're looking at wealth. Something didn't work. The one that got away, that's really what that kind of looks like to me. It's like a koi fish, but it's like it slipped out of your hands. What I would say to that is it didn't get away. You just weren't ready yet to receive it. That's why Again, looking at the traditional Temperance card, you really want to get solid, like on solid ground to test the waters so that next time you're going to be able to hold on to this. Let love live. You should be doing something in this moment that truly makes you happy. What I do love about this too is the freedom element. It's almost like they're giving someone their freedom. So you may be seeking liberation, freedom, or breathing room. You may be giving it to someone else. These are good things when it comes to abundance, because the universe loves it when you're not grasping for something. The law of detachment is how we could summarize this. If it's good enough, it will come back around. If you're ready enough, it will come back around. That's how the universe works. It's not lost forever, okay? Let's take a look at this in 5 subcategories. We're going to start for those of you that are already employed. The biggest challenge here, especially with this caption of exploitation, is to not overextend yourself, to know when to say when. Your biggest strength this month is your instincts and your ability to think outside of the box. A blessing and a curse is your ability to be stubborn. Know when it serves you, know when it doesn't. You're being called to leadership this month if you're ready. Stress could get in the way and you could easily go from 9 to 10 of swords, so rest. Take care of yourself. When in doubt, ask. Ask before you move. So we have a listening card, and then we have a card here of weighing it all out. Let me think about that. Let me see how I feel about that. Let me make sure I have all the information. Then and only then, after considering some things, should you move forward. You have a good chance of getting things done this month, but you're going to have to pace yourself. The 6 of Pentacles shows me more than enough, but not all that you want, not all that you need. Compromise is going to be important. That's why she needs to keep an open heart, an open mind, and open ears. Avoid getting into an unnecessary conflict this month. Again, in the traditional moon card, you'll see me going back and forth on all of these, but there is a middle ground, and the middle ground is where the progress happens. These two can howl at the moon or howl at each other all they want, but the power is in the center. Overall, it's a pretty good month. And I feel like you can overcome most of the challenges, stubbornness and stress. Those are the 2 big things that you want to be careful of. And someone that's pushing you to rush something, just be mindful of that. Overall, you're going to emerge stronger than you started the month. So I have a good feeling about those that are working. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have to make smart decisions this month. In particular, pacing yourself and making sure that you don't get burned out. What's working for you this month is there's a lot of feedback coming in. You could ask more if you want to. Send out a survey to customers. Listen to employees. There are a couple of morale issues that might be bubbling underneath the surface. There might be an unhappy customer. It feels like you can quell this, you can solve this, but you have to listen this month and you have to ask for feedback. Pick and choose what resonates with you. Don't take anything personally. In fact, it might be good to get another person's insight on this, but I definitely would be listening to the customers and the employees, and I would be soliciting the feedback through forms and surveys. Even if it's like when you're ordering, someone could give you thoughts and ideas, or after it's purchased, you can follow up with them and say, what did you like? What didn't you like? Keep the communication open. Customers may be asking themselves, what do you stand for? Or why? You may be casting too wide of a net. So I use an example of like late 90s, early 2000s when, like in Apple, when it was still innovating a little bit more, Steve Jobs came in and he cut half of the products out. He's like, we have 4 products. We're going to do them amazingly well. We'll occasionally innovate with new things. You don't want so many things that it confuses. If there's too many models, too many options, too many menu items. Have you ever been to a restaurant where it's like 6 pages and you're flipping through it and you're like, what is this place? What are they? It's better if it's like 1 page front and back. So think about what you're trying to do and clarify it. And this goes back to the signals, sending clear signals, okay? For those of you that are looking for work, can you find it? Yes. One thing that's coming through is some of you still may want to start your own business. So it's not an either or. You might be kind of straddling entrepreneurial and job seeking. But for the jobs that are coming through, there's a few things. One of the jobs that you might be applying to, it is like the kitchen sink. The sort of requirements are so broad, And that makes me question if leadership knows what they're trying to do. So double check when you're in an interview, come in with clear, concise, and pointed questions and ask about leadership, ask about morale. Those are the two things that I'm picking up on the immediate job opportunity. Be very razor focused with the effort that you're putting into application. It doesn't help to send out 100 resumes in a week. It fatigues you, and it also kind of like takes the wind out of your sails. I'd rather you do 2 or 3 and that's it, and just have them be really targeted, focused, and you're giving it your all. What I see coming through is an opportunity where it's not like everything, but you have to make sure it's enough. The 6 of Pentacles may give you the title but not the pay, or you might have the pay but not the title, or the growth potential is limited a little bit. There's a compromise. Ultimately, I feel like in the long run, you may be able to overcome this compromise, but it could take longer than you want. So talk about growth when you're also at the interviews. It is a competitive market right now, and time-wise, it could actually go between 4 to 6 weeks, so into next month's reading. The next round of videos that I'm going to do is actually going to be 2 months, so hopefully by then that'll give you a little bit more clarity. But for now, target and focus really on 1 or 2 things per week, maybe 3 max, and don't overextend yourself. I think you have to be clear on what you're trying to do as well. When it comes to marketing and websites, make sure that you've done the editing so that it's easy for someone else to understand, or nowadays even for the AI or computers to parse. Less is more, and format it correctly according to each job that you're applying for. But yeah, I'm getting a little bit longer of a wait, but some of you are really picky and you want that higher title. If you're willing to step back a little bit, there might be an intermediate job, but that's it. I feel like there's a title or a pay sort of situation that's causing a little bit of a delay. All right, but the way through that, because I always like to give you a solution for that, is for some of you with the Page of Swords in reverse, you could inquire about other openings. This is the one sign this month where I'm not seeing a lot of other people. So it's not about who you know, it's about how you go about this. So you may find another channel that can help you get to talk to somebody. So whether it's going through social media, whether it's, maybe even sending a traditional sort of like email or something like that is a roundabout way, you have to be creative here. The Queen of Wands uses her instincts and isn't afraid to do something that others wouldn't. Be bold. For students, I think this 9 of Swords is one of the key challenges. 9 of Swords and 7 of Cups. So this is stress management. And for this one, it could either be confusion or uncertainty. So there's some stress over what to do next. So we have a card here that can be a mentor. We also have some competing advice. So your instincts is kind of telling you one thing. We have an advisor that you trust that's telling you another, and then there may be a parent in the picture. So there comes a point where you really just have to go back to the inner voice that we talked about that is going to lead you into the right direction. Trust yourself. If there's a path that you're deciding to do, it should be something that you love, because you'll be doing it, knock on wood, for a while. So make sure that even before you make a major decision, the Temperance card is telling you, talk to some other people, take an internship if you can, explore everything before making a major shift or change. Overall, I like what I see here. I think with this 9 of Wands, you have what it takes to get everything sorted out. Just don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, and don't be pushed into a path that doesn't feel authentic to you. Whether it's mom or, maybe a teacher or maybe a friend that's trying to push you, you know your own path, you know yourself best. For retirees, it's a pretty good energy this month for retirees. Some of you are leaning into this creative energy that's part of the moon, and you're focusing on personal development. That's the main energy here. Unlike the last few signs that I've been reading for, even just today, this is less of a social month for your sign, and it feels like you may be focusing more on using your time more wisely, using your money more wisely, a lot of energy around resources, so that any of the fear that's over here seems to come from time, energy, and money. Once you've got that under control, you're going to feel like you're on top of the world. and you're going to be able to do more things. But working on yourself is the main thing that I'm picking up on. And then also, maybe we're going to look at love next, deciding to have a little bit of fun and focus more on relationships. To that end, let's go deeper into the energy of love. You got 2 oracle cards here, and they're very interesting. One of them I'm completely behind. We have like this beautiful expansive energy showing that now is the time to meet new people. So it's all about expansion. However, there is a need to take the next step. I mentioned that there was something about this Ace of Pentacles, perhaps because it's this heavy rock, that isn't moving forward. There could be someone in your life that is dragging you down. It could also just be your own fears or procrastination. The sooner you get started, the sooner you'll be to the finish line, the sooner you can do the next thing. So it's amazing what happens when you just hit the start button, right? And begin. This is a month where the biggest challenge may be your complacency or someone else's. When we're looking at relationships, this is also knowing when enough is enough, but we'll talk about that as we break this down. In existing partnerships, the Ace of Pentacles can represent a ring on a finger. Some of you might have just gotten engaged or proposed. This can also be a baby. These are significant changes that can shift everything. Clearly, this can cause some stress or some uncertainty, but what I like about this whole spread is it ends on a positive note. It's normal when trying something new or stepping into something big like that to have a little bit of uncertainty. You're allowed to take your time in a decision like that. You don't have to say yes on the spot. This is why, by the way, I'm not a big fan of a public proposal where the person feels pressured. I think it's better to just have a regular conversation first. Say, do you want to get married in the future? Are you looking to start a family? What are your plans, goals, and visions? Like at the beginning, before the proposal happens, so you know if the person is on the same page. Never put them on the spot. Don't allow yourself to be put on the spot. Now, if you're already married, here's what I'm picking up on. There's a little bit of a communication challenge. Queen of Wands doesn't always speak. She just does what she wants to do. And this could be leaving the other partner scratching their head thinking, am I in the equation? Do you see me? Are you listening to me? So we want to get back into communicating and listening. We have 2 cards clearly connected to that. That's going to help you overcome stress. I think that looking at shared finances this month and being really realistic with it, particularly if you are wanting to make a big purchase or expand the family or get married, these are big things that could, like money could also factor into not the if, but the when. So you may decide to have an engagement for a couple of years instead of just 6 months and then get married. So talk it through. This is going to help in the long run. Both of you feel like, okay, we've got this. And you will be on solid ground at the end of this, but there are some either question marks or uncertainties. That's why, again, don't send mixed signals. There's a need to listen a little bit more and communicate and talk about the money, talk about the shared goals. If you're single and looking, can you find someone? Absolutely. We have multiple options here coming through. Possibly a Scorpio, possibly in a fire sign. We have an air sign at the center. But there are 2 challenges. One is your own level of stress and anxiety right now and self-care. The other one is why we have so many options. It's a question mark from the universe. What are you looking for? And it's not meant to be a pressure sort of question, because if we look at the traditional illustration, the 7 of Cups is very much a brainstorming card, and it reminds you that the sky is the limit. But sometimes that can be a little overwhelming. So boxing it in a little bit and saying, well, I'm really looking for this, 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 and this. And it's not so much looks, but like someone who is self-sufficient, someone who wants to start a family, whatever your list of 3 to 5 attributes are, focus that in, dial it in a little bit. The options that you'll be served are going to be more closely aligned to what you need, and that's going to make things easier. Single and happy. Can this be an amazing month? Absolutely. What I see here is empowerment, a newfound balance, and for many of you, finishing something that you've wanted to finish for a long time. You've had an idea. We're getting past the complacency here. We're moving more towards completion. And It just requires your attention. So you're the one that this most relates to, because there's really no more room for waiting. Now is the time to finish. And once you do, the best is yet to come. Now, one other note here, just generally speaking, if the partner is complacent or not responding to your needs, your desires, your communication, that's a red flag. That's probably past the point where the two of you can work it out, and you might need to have a counselor step in when communication breaks down like that. But I think most of it has to do with just setting up time to listen, to spend some time together, make sure maybe that you have a date night or something like that where you can just be present. Put the phones on, do not disturb, and just talk and listen. Okay, let's look at your Destiny card. In Destiny, we have the horse, which represents freedom. This also kind of reminds me of the Chariot. So let's pull this to the main camera. It says, your heart is pure and free, a greater purpose calls to you. You have unlimited resources of stamina and strength. You follow the winds of change and accomplish your dreams. So the freedom to explore new things, the ability to be there to help each other. In a Chariot card, there are two horses and a person pulling the reins. So in a relationship, there are times where one leads and the other follows. There are times where two of you want to go into divergent sort of paths. And this is where it's a give and take. You're going to have to figure out, are we still on the same mental page? In general, though, if we take it, I'm still kind of in the relationship mode. If we take it out of relationships, this month in particular, it feels like your voice and your vision want to move forward. So give yourself room to allow that to take flight. And I think that some really expansive, because we just saw that some expansive and some exciting things can happen. Let's take a look at what you need to know this month. Spirit's going to come through, light the path, help you out. We're going to get out of the way and see what the message is. Ooh, this is fun. Okay, so Two of Pentacles, a choice is required. There are people that are trying to pull at that rubber band that is your time and energy. There's someone also that may be fighting for the same resource, challenging you and saying, well, I want this or I want that. So there may be something, just like we saw here, where you're just going to let it go and say, okay, go for it. I'm going to focus on this instead. Pick and choose what's most worth your time. If you don't want it as much as someone else, let them have it. You focus on something else. Choices. It's really important also for you to have enough time for rest, enough time for exercise, for love, for studying, for all of these things. Don't overdo it. Make sure that you know your limits and you adhere to those. Now it's time for one final question. It can be anything that you need some advice or clarity on. Okay, absolutely. I'm so happy that we went from the 7 to the 8. Okay, so if you ask me a yes or no, it's a not yet. And with the 8 of Cups, you have to get that higher perspective. You have to take a step back. There could also be, now if we look at it from a general perspective, some of you might be overdue for a vacation. Some of you may need to go back and finish something because you've started it and this is the month that it can come to fruition. So second chances, completion, and stepping back to get the clarity that you need. All of these are part of this. But for everyone else, yeah, you need to take a step back, sleep on it before making that major decision, then and only then proceed. And that, my friends, is everything for this month. Thank you again for your patience. As I've been telling folks, I'm going to change it up next month, which is going to start next week. We're going to do 2 months together. I'm going to get these done faster, just like I did with these. Perfectionist tendencies out the window. You guys need these quicker, so I'm going to do them faster. And let me know as I do the next round if you like some of the changes. For this one, like and subscribe. Let me know what resonated for this month. I appreciate the support and the feedback. You can also follow me on social media. It's my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all the major platforms. To learn more about me or to find videos in case you ever need to, you can always go to my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. And that, my friends, is everything for this month. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you again for your patience. Check out the weekly collective if you haven't already. And until I see you again, be well.